Hello, I'm Dr. Tinashe Jakwa, and I'm a recent PhD candidate in the School of Social Sciences, discipline of Political Science and International Relations. I'm here today speaking with some of the people who attended a protest here at the University of Western Australia opposing the proposed restructure of the School of Social Sciences that will see drastic changes made to the school. Now, I've asked people several questions, including why they felt it was important to show up and show support for staff and students at this university, some of the perceived short and long-term impacts that they believe the proposal would have on the university, Western Australia, and the country more broadly if it were implemented, as well as asked them some of the few things they would say to university management, including Vice-Chancellor Professor Amit Chakma, if they were to speak with them face-to-face. So let's hear what they have to say. Let's go.
These students, before coming to UWA, were all, the advertisements, how they go, you get supported, and this is just not support,
My supervisors in the discipline of media and communication will be directly impacted by this, and frankly I think that they deserve better. I feel as if I as a student deserve better, and overall the university and our society deserves better.
So I think the cuts are I don't think it's something ASU would be considering.
Cutting all these studies will affect my future.
An attack on education is an attack on all of our futures. It just doesn't simply make any sense eroding an institution like UWA that serves us so perfectly here.
It's just a terrible tragedy that this university has continued to erode its integrity. That's it.
I just think that education is a public good, and it's not simply, it doesn't fit into the corporate model of a provider and a transaction, with a customer.
Why was it important for you to come here today?
Because all the students at UWA who are studying anthropology, I think it's really important for them to still be learning it, for not to be shut down.
Just taking out entire swaths of ways of understanding the world just seems like an inherently wrong thing to do.
Well, I think it's atrocious that they cut social sciences, which are actually the courses that teach us something about moral thinking and ethics, and the consequences of our actions, political and geographical, climate change, everything. Those are the sciences that look at how it affects people.
I just feel it's important as a society that we retain the ability to study ourselves, to reflect on ourselves as humans and what we're doing. And I think anthropology is one of the few disciplines that looks at that really holistically.
I am majoring in anthropology and sociology and philosophy. And I am looking at doing my honors with no support from the mentors that are now being fired. And I'm quite concerned for the future of the university, to be honest, because, okay, now there are deficits and there's COVID and everything, but when the borders are going to open, how are we going to entice students from around the world to come here if we are not excellence anymore? It's not just a problem of now, it's a problem in the long term. I'm asking, what's the vision for the future of UWA? If we cut everything, what is going to make us special?
And what impact do you believe that this proposed restructure is going to have on the university?
Well, I think that we're just going to, instead of being a wonderful Ivy League university, it's becoming, a TAFE. We number crunch.
We can see that it's just a restructure towards making the university a profitable corporate degree factory.
I think it would ruin its reputation. I think it's...
I think it's a university that all other universities look to, even though they say they don't. Why would you destroy something so perfect?
I think the university is being incredibly short-sighted.
In the short term, I don't even know how I'm going to study my major anymore, and if I'm going to be able to do my honors in anthropology. Not even thinking about PhD, I'm going to have to go somewhere else. But in the long term, Western Australia and Australia are going to be disadvantaged compared to other countries, because they're not going to have the mind power to face new challenges.
We need the kind of professionals out there that know how society and culture functions and, being able to have a deep and nuanced understanding of it. So to me, it is horrendous that, this proposal has come out, that it's misleading, that it doesn't seem to take the sort of well-being of students and staff and the greater university into account with these changes.
And what are some of the impacts that you believe this proposal would have on the university, the state more broadly, the country, if it were implemented?
I mean, I think basically what Amit Chakma is doing at the moment is deleting an entire section of knowledge from our society, from WA, from people's capacity to come and study here in this state, but also just more broadly, he's just taken sort of an almost unilateral decision to just say that this knowledge is invaluable, is not valuable at all.
It will greatly affect the university because there are limited then opportunities for people to study these disciplines within WA.
I think that if this was passed, that the students here who are studying anthropology, I think that they would be quite upset, and because they're halfway through the year and they don't get to finish their studies.
And this semester, a lot of the units that I was planning to do since my first year, they're all gone. Now, these are units that I'm extremely passionate about. It's because of these units that I came here to UWA.
So if you could speak to the university's management today, what would you say to them? Say that right now.
Don't do this. It is not a good long-term project. It is so easy to break things down, and it is so difficult to rebuild courses that are no longer existing.
Oh, no cuts. Let's be wise about this. You have a fantastic university that turns out a fantastic grade of student. Why would you erode that?
That cutting all of these jobs will affect everyone.
Well, I would say, really they should consider the impact of these sorts of decisions in the long run.
I'd say think of the future, think of the legacy you want to have this university stand for in 100 years' time.
I would probably say that it's not fair to the students here because it's probably very important to them, and that it's not fair to take it away.
If you were to get a face-to-face meeting with Vice-Chancellor Amit Chakma, what are some of the things that you would say to him?
I would say you need to scrap this proposal immediately. And then I would say that our education is not for profit. And I would tell him that he's basically a parasite.
I would say think about the students, think about the people who actually pay for these universities.
Do you really think that getting rid of an entire major, one of the most celebrated in this university in particular, is gonna make ends meet? It's not gonna stop here. You're gonna have less people in enrolling anyway next year because you're not gonna have this specific major that you only offer here in Western Australia. So I don't think it's gonna be the solution.
If I were to speak to Sharkma, what I tell him? I tell him to realise the consequences of his actions, how, cutting the university's departments is going to affect it, how it's going to affect it in the future. He might think he's saving money in the short term, but really he's just reducing the credibility of his university in the long term.
Think about what you're doing. Actually think about it in terms of the impact it's going to have on this state and the people in this state.
I would say cut your own salary before cutting students' degrees.
Strong words from a concerned student.